Well, actually, it says we're live, but it says it's setting up. Let me.
Says a lot.
Oh, there we go. Sick. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. All right. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the No Name College Football Podcast, week 2 of the live stream. Um, yeah, week 2 of the live stream. Got the college football playoff rankings coming up here in about 10 minutes. Last week they got them going quick, so we're gonna go ahead and start trying to recap a little bit of last week, so we can have at least most of that done, hopefully, before the rankings come on. Starting off last Thursday, Texas Tech TCU, Duke beats Wake Forest on a walk-off field goal without Riley Leonard, who I'm gonna assume is gonna be out for more than just this past week. He did have a boot on his foot. Boston College gets bowl eligible. Congrats to them with a win over Syracuse. Yeah. Then getting started on Saturday. Yes, as you can see, the Fire Dabo sign is still up, but we are 1-0 with it on the wall, so I'm gonna keep it up for right now. Um, Clemson's got a little bit of life in them. I mean, obviously, they can't make it to the ACC championship at this point, but there's a real chance that they could finish 8-4 this year. They looked a lot better. They looked like the Clemson that we all know. Defense was, I mean, absolutely amazing. Um, Jeremiah Trotter looked like the first round pick that he's going to be. Dabo looked like he had a little bit more life in him. But if he doesn't go into the transfer portal, this or not, doesn't go pull guys out of the transfer portal, this upcoming offseason, then it's still fire Dabo.
One thing about Clemson too, though, is with the culture he's built, you can say what you want about it, but those guys are going to stay bought in. Those guys are going to stay true to Clemson. They're not going to give up on the season. So, and they showed that against Notre Dame.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, moving on. App with a big dub over Marshall. Congrats to them boys. One win away from being bowl eligible. A tough 3 games stretch coming up at Georgia State, who's a good football team, at James Madison, who's a good football team, undefeated, and then at home against Georgia Southern over Thanksgiving break. So not going to be as hype in there as usual. Ohio State uh, pulled away in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter against Rutgers. But they were struggling there for a little while. I think Kyle McCord kind of showed his true colors. Yeah, he had 3 touchdown passes, but he had a really bad interception. He had a couple more passes here and there that were just like not good passes. Only 189 yards. This is the reason why I think Ohio State shouldn't be number one. This is the reason why I don't think Ohio State can win the national championship this year is solely because of Colin McCord. I've said that once and I'll say it again. Jay, we got anything to add on this Ohio State Rutgers game?
I mean, when it comes to a team trying to pull a big upset, you've got to score touchdowns. Rutgers got down inside the 5 3 separate times and couldn't capitalize with a touchdown. But Rutgers is a good football team. I'll give Ohio State a little bit of credit fighting back, but again, they just feel like they're leaving something to be desired for sure, especially offensively.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and you can keep on going, man, if you want to talk about your team.
Talking about leaving something to be desired, I definitely think Georgia didn't play their best game in this game. Shout out to Missouri. I mean, they earned that 12th ranked position. I think I didn't drop them very far in my rankings. Schrader's the first running back to go over 100 yards against Georgia in years. I can't even remember. But Georgia was able to fight back and get the job done. Luther Burden, I believe, only had 3 catches, which is something to watch for this week going up against Ole Miss. But all in all, not a bad win for Georgia.
Yeah, for sure. I think Georgia showed that they should be ranked number one, that they should have been ranked number one. I do think Missouri is a good football team, though I'm not trying to take away from Missouri at all. Um, but Georgia kind of seals their fate there. Um, what am I trying to say here? With SEC championship game aspirations. Um, They just got to win one of their last two SEC games.
Two
And
tough games though.
no, for sure, definitely two tough games. Which we'll get into that a little bit more later. Michigan kind of rolls over Purdue. Nothing really to say there. Again, didn't watch Michigan. I don't think I've really watched Michigan all year. Now I will be watching them this week for sure. But I really haven't watched them because I don't know how many times I've had to say this now, but they've just done this thing where they just coast. They just kind of coast to a victory. JJ McCarthy had a big game. Florida State was
Not good.
slow start against a bad Pitt team. But again, kind of like the Ohio State thing, they kind of just pulled it together there in the second half and did what they needed to do to win the football game. But I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the committee does value this Washington win over this win from Florida State and jumps them in the rankings this week. However, they're probably gonna say the same. Washington, big win over Southern Cal. Their running back, 26 for 256 and 4 touchdowns, absolutely insane. Southern Cal's defense showed that where, hey, our offense can score a lot of points against these big teams because they are a good offense, but we are bad as a defense. Now, I'm not trying to take away from Washington's offense here because their offense is amazing. But I was going to say Ohio State, my bad. Southern Cal's defense legitimately could not stop Washington at all.
No.
Puts Southern Cal's playoffs and I think Pac-12 hopes completely to rest now.
I would agree.
While there was still a small sliver of chance in there for them, I think they're officially out of play. Washington now, I'm not going to say they don't have any tough games left because they do have Pac-12 games left, but
They have
Washington has a very, very, very nice road ahead of them.
all they got to do is go 2-1 in their next 3, and they make the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah, but playoff wise,
yeah. Well, playoff wise too. I mean, I think a 12-1 Pac-12 champion is going to get in this year.
that is true. I could see that if it was, let's just say it was to be them in Oregon, in the Pac-12 championship, if they beat Oregon twice, I think they have a legitimate shot at getting in. Depending on what happens around everywhere else. Because right now I was sorry to get off track of recapping last week, but going to the college football playoff rankings thing, I think there is a legitimate shot that there might be multiple 6 to 7 teams with a real argument come Selection Sunday this year.
And that's the thing. These undefeated teams, it's almost more especially a team like Florida State. I don't think Florida State can take a loss.
Yeah.
And still make it because these other teams just have so much better resumes than Florida State does. And eye test wise look better than Florida State does.
Yeah, for sure. I can get behind that for sure. Oregon, speaking of Oregon, since we were just talking about them, they just rolled over Cal. Little kind of a slow start, but then they just bought into it. Bo Nix, almost 400 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Shout out to him. Texas, Kansas State, very good ball game. Went into overtime. Texas, honestly, I think they kind of showed that without Quinn Ewers, they are definitely beatable. Which they were beatable without Quinn Ewers, obviously, because they lost their one losses with Quinn Ewers. But I think they are more vulnerable to a loss now than they were before. Kansas State, not trying to take anything away from them. They're a good football team too. But Malik Murphy, just honestly, he did not impress me at all. I didn't watch him the week before against, it was Houston, correct? No. Who'd they play?
BYU.
BYU, correct. I didn't watch him against BYU, but watching him against Kansas State, I honestly was not very impressed at all. I was not impressed at all. But Kansas State's got a nice little road to go down. They could end up with 9 wins for all. And I'm not sure with the rest of their schedule, but Texas still in the hunt for the playoff, sitting at 8-1 with a win over Kansas State in overtime. You want to talk about this one first?
Yeah, I mean, you look at these stats. Jaden Daniels was the leading passer and the leading rusher, and he only played 3 quarters. When he went down, LSU just did not stand a chance to come back and win this game. Now, I will give some credit to Jalen Milroe, probably Jalen Milroe's best game as the quarterback of Alabama. And Alabama, it looks like they have all but clinched their spot in the SEC title game. So Alabama's on fire right now, beat 2 good teams in a row.
Yeah, for sure. Alabama road ahead to them is their own path to get to where they want to go, which is the playoffs, obviously. So did just come on. So I think you're probably 2 seconds ahead of me. So you'll probably see it when it pops up before I will. So just let me know. Yeah, Oklahoma State with the win over Oklahoma. Ollie Gordon, another good game, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 33 carries, though. I will say that. That was a slight knockoff of points for me. Dylan Gabriel didn't play too bad, except for the pick that he threw. The pick they threw was terrible. But Oklahoma State now in a spot to make the Big 12 championship. If they keep on a run, they're one of the hottest teams in the country now, in my opinion. They keep going. They end up, 11-2 Big 12 champion. That's a New Year's Six bowl game for sure.
Yep.
Ole Miss pulls it out over A&M. After A&M actually missed the field goal to take it to overtime. Shout out Trey Harris III over here. We said he was going to get a shout out when we were watching the game. 11 receptions, 213 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, it just seemed like every time that they threw him the ball, he made the catch. It didn't matter where the ball was or how many people on him. He was catching the football. He made a couple of catches that were like, whoa, he caught that. All around really good game from Mississippi's offense. And I'm excited to see how that offense looks this upcoming week.
I hate
Penn State made me look stupid. I thought Maryland was going to beat them. Whatever, yada yada. They win big. Big game for them this week too, though. Going back to what we said about Mississippi. I don't even care.
the Cardinals are going to the ACC title game this year. It's looking like.
I don't even care. Yeah. Louisville Dogs, Virginia Tech. Oregon State pulls it out over Colorado. I know Colorado did score garbage time touchdown, or kind of garbage time. They scored with like a minute and 30 seconds left to make it one score. Tennessee rolls over UConn, covers the biggest spread of the week, which we'll get to that later. Utah Dogs, Arizona State, Arizona with the upset over UCLA. This whole year, I've been very hesitant about UCLA. They just really haven't stood out to me, really, especially when Dante Moore is playing, because Dante Moore looked terrible. I know he's a freshman or whatever, but I don't know. They've just been kind of one of these teams that, even last week, I think last week I had them ranked 21st, and it's like I dropped them out as of this week, but I don't know. I don't know how to judge UCLA. I don't know how to judge Arizona either. Kansas beats Iowa State in a close ball game.
Don't look away, but Kansas right now sitting at third in the Big 12.
Got a chance. They got a chance to get there. Tulane on upset alert against a 1-8 East Carolina team. Not a good look for Tulane there.
Mia River. Shout out Bobby Del Garcio.
There we go. And Air Force gets blown out by Army. Not a good look. Arkansas beats Florida. It was actually a really good game. We watched a little bit of that. Indiana beats Wisconsin. The Fighting Larrys is known to me and Jacob. The Fighting Larrys, Indiana Hoosiers. Michigan State, 3-6, little dub over Nebraska.
Nebraska refuses to be great.
Facts. Jacksonville State played a nice little game with South Carolina at South Carolina. Spencer Rattler almost 400 passing yards. North Carolina did their thing. Georgia Tech dog Virginia. and really not a whole lot else. Illinois beats Minnesota.
Iowa under hits.
Yes, Iowa did beat Northwestern.
Oh, rankings.
Okay, so at 25, falling 2 spots after the loss last week is Kansas State. Coming into the rankings, North Carolina at 24. Tulane goes up 1 spot to 23. Iowa comes into the rankings at 22. And Arizona comes into the rankings at 21. Arizona was a team that I just said I don't really know how to judge them right now. And I did not have them ranked this week. My 3 new teams into the rankings were Fresno State, West Virginia, and North Carolina. I had dropped out UCLA, Southern Cal, and Air Force, which I'm going to assume are the 3 teams that Arizona, Iowa, and North Carolina are replacing.
Iowa, dude. Only thing entertaining about Iowa is Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised with Arizona being in there and being the highest out of those 3 teams coming in.
They've got good wins.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna assume that they're going off of their wins over everything else.
Okay, here we go.
At 20, Notre Dame falling 5 spots, 19, LSU falling 5 spots, Utah 18, Oklahoma falls 8 spots to 17, and Kansas is up 5 spots to 16.
You know what this is telling me? You know who you don't see there? Missouri.
Missouri, yeah. So I'm gonna assume Missouri's gonna be here at 15, would be my assumption. Tennessee.
Utah not moving up after a big time win is confusing to me. But shout out to Kansas.
Yeah, I'm assuming the Kansas jump is because of everyone else losing. But my note, I guess we're gonna have to get to it in a minute because I'm probably about to pop up 15 here. But my note here is the LSU Notre Dame drop. All right, here we go. Oklahoma State up 7 spots to 15. Missouri only falls 2 spots after their loss to Georgia to 14. Tennessee is up 4 spots to 13. Oregon up 4 spots to 12. And
Oregon State
up 2 spots. Did I say Oregon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon State, my bad, 4 spots to 12. And Louisville up 2 spots on the cusp of the top 10 at number 11.
That Tennessee Missouri game this week is going to be huge.
Yeah, for sure. I actually had my rankings similar to, well, not really. I did have Louisville at 12, Louisville at 11, Oregon State 12, Tennessee 13.
Dude, the people on the committee or on the broadcast just said Tennessee beat a tough UConn team this past week.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's 2 notes that I'm going to write down here that we can discuss here in a minute is Tennessee.
At the 10, we have Penn State.
Up 1 spot. Congrats to Penn State into the top 10. Big game this week.
What I'm interested to see is Bama going to be over Texas this week?
I am interested in that. I'm going to say 9 right here is definitely going to be Ole Miss. Also up 1 spot from last week.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll take forever to talk, though.
Penn State, dude. Penn State, though, got 2 top 10 matchups this week, it's looking like.
Yep. No, I mean, not even looking like it's confirmed at this point.
Unless Ole Miss is unranked.
Yeah. Unless Ole Miss after the win.
They're in at 9.
Dropped out of the rankings. Yeah, Ole Miss in here up 1 spot at number 9. So we have 2 top 10 matchups this week. Seeding we will get to later because we're not sure where, the other 2 teams are going to be yet. But Ole Miss at 9 will be playing a top-ranked Georgia, and Penn State ranked at 10 will be playing a top-ranked Michigan. And that's another thing that we can get to here in a minute after we get done here with these rankings is I'm interested
in the 8. Alabama.
Wow.
So wait. No, okay, that's where they were last week. Okay.
Wow.
I had them higher. What were you saying though? Sorry. We're assuming that Texas will be in the 7.
Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Alabama doesn't move.
Alabama's definitely got a shot at the college football playoff and a pretty good one. It'll take them beating Georgia.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this one, college football playoff committee. I don't know about this one.
And at number 7, we have the Texas Longhorns.
So that means Oregon's going to be 6. Are they really not going to just? They're just not going to touch the top 8. I don't think they are. I really don't think they are. I don't think they're going to touch the top 8.
Going to jump Florida State.
I think Washington should jump Florida State, but based off what I just saw right there, I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they'll jump Georgia over Ohio State either.
Well, the difference is between that Texas Bama thing, though, is Texas beat Bama on the road. Like, I get it.
All right, so here's my first thing. Um, about these that stood out to me. Tennessee and Utah, right? We see Utah win 55-3 over a conference opponent, no matter the record, Arizona State, no matter the record, they won 55-3 over a conference opponent. They do not move in the rankings. Tennessee comes out and plays a out of conference group of 5 opponent, UConn, who is 1-8 on the year. Only win, I'm pretty sure, over an FCS opponent, and beats them 59-7. Margin of victory is what, 52, both 50.
Literally the same.
Yeah. Margin of victory the same. One playing technically a better opponent. One team doesn't move, one team moves 4 spots.
There's definitely inconsistencies.
I'm
Some might
not, I'm
call
not
it
seeing I'm not, I didn't understand that. My second thing is Notre Dame, LSU. They both dropped 5 spots this week. Okay. Remember, they were ranked 1 spot ahead of each other last week. They both lose this week. They both drop 5 spots each. LSU loses to a top 10 ranked team. Notre Dame loses to Clemson, who is unranked. All right, they're popping up to 6 here. I'm going to assume first right here is going to be Oregon at 6. Yep. Oregon comes in at 6.
Do it. Do it. Florida State 5. You're lying to yourself if you don't think Washington is top 4.
Oh, what did I say? They're not going to move anything, dude.
Washington at the 5, unless they just don't value Southern Cal at all. I don't get how you watch uh, Florida State and watch Washington and come to the conclusion that Florida State's a better team. I mean, Florida State's best win is against what, 19th ranked LSU, when Washington's best win is against 6th ranked Oregon. Not to mention Washington has more quality wins. 4 is Florida State. 3 is going to be Michigan.
I'll tell you, they're not going to touch it. They're not going to touch it. 3 is going to be Michigan. 2 will be Georgia. 1 will be Ohio State. They're not going to touch it.
The only reason that they might touch it is they didn't drop Missouri very far. Number 3, Michigan. So we have a 3 versus 10. Of course, Kirk.
What do you say? So I got the volume on.
Kirk's got Georgia at 1, but he said he thinks Ohio State will be. Can they just show it?
That's what I'm saying, bro. Jeez.
And they didn't move it.
Oh, what I say? I told you, man. All right, so Georgia at 2, Ohio State is going to be at 1. There they are. So we have a 2 versus 9 and a 3 versus 10 matchup this week with Penn State, Michigan, and Georgia.
Well, look, here's my take on it. Georgia plays the number 9 ranked team in the country this week.
Yeah.
If Georgia wins, they should be number 1.
I agree.
Because that would mean that Georgia has 2 wins that are better than Ohio State's 2 wins.
Yeah. Yeah. See if they update this. No. All right. Don't really care about that right now.
Over
okay.
our personal rankings?
Huh?
Want to go over our personal rankings?
Yeah, one minute. I want to finish these three like conversations I had here, right? Okay, so we talked about Tennessee, Utah. Back to what I'm saying was before they start showing the top 6. Sorry, they're talking about the resume comparison for Georgia, Ohio State right now. I don't. Y'all strength the schedule is 90th. Jesus Christ. Okay, Notre Dame, LSU, one spot back from each other last week. If I'm correct, 13 and 14. Were they 13 and 14 or 12 and 13? Let's do this.
Missouri was 12. I think they were 14 and 15 actually.
14 and 15. Okay, 14 and 15. Right. They both dropped 5 spots, but one lost to the number 8 ranked team, and one lost to an unranked team that was 500, right? So what the committee trying to say here? Are they valuing a loss to Alabama and Clemson the same?
Okay. To me, like LSU has 3 losses, but they've lost to 3 teams that are ranked in the top 9. Notre Dame lost to Ohio State, who's 1, Louisville, who's 11, and Clemson, who's 5 and 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. But who are you putting LSU above?
I agree. I mean, I had LSU at 20 in my rankings, right? But I dropped Notre Dame to 22. I think that is a very fair argument there. I don't understand what they were doing with that there. But then on top of that, what I don't understand is then you don't move Alabama at all, right? Okay. Alabama beats the number 14th ranked team by 2 scores, regardless of their quarterback going out in the third quarter.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And Texas goes out and beats the number 23rd ranked team in overtime. I get that Texas beat Alabama head-to-head, right? But I think at this point in the season, they should value Alabama's win way more. Me personally, if I was sitting on the round table, right, or committee table, right, I'm valuing Alabama's win significantly more than Texas wins last week. And
it's not even just that for Alabama. Okay, Alabama, they had the loss to Texas, who's ranked 7th, but they beat Ole Miss, who's ranked 9th. They beat Tennessee, who's ranked 13th, and they beat LSU, who's ranked 19th this week.
And here we go. They're popping it up right now. Resume comparison according to ESPN's analytics. Alabama's strength of record 4th, Texas's 5th, higher. Alabama's strength of schedule 8, Texas's 10th, higher. Texas lost to the number 17 in the country, 17-team country. Alabama's to Texas.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is they lost to Texas at home. It's tough, but if you're ranking them right now, Alabama's playing better than Texas. Now, I get Texas is without their starting quarterback, but that's why you have scholarships. That's why you recruit.
I agree. And then I put Ole Miss / Penn State with the question mark, and I don't remember why I wrote Ole Miss and Penn State down.
Well, last week, Ole Miss was above Penn State. Now, I get that Ole Miss beat A&M by 3 at home, And Texas A&M has varying opinions. I don't think they're terrible. I don't think they're good. And then you get Penn State, who blew out Maryland. So maybe people would think that that warrants a Penn State jump. Um, but I don't know. I'm not overly mad about it. I think if Georgia wants to be,
I remember why I wrote them down now. Sorry. I just remembered. Sorry to cut you off. I wrote them down because I wanted to talk about this. And this is getting us previewed into next week, right? Is how are they going to value Ole Miss and Penn State if these two teams were going to win this week?
I don't think Ole Miss would drop very far.
But what I'm saying is if Ole Miss was to go into Georgia, right, and beat Georgia this week, okay? I mean, what do you do then?
You move Ole Miss to 8 and Georgia to 9 is what they would do.
Well, based off what I just saw, yeah. But I'm saying, I mean, like, Ole Miss legitimately, in my opinion, at that point, right? Can you move based off what I saw with Texas and Alabama right now? Can you move Ole Miss above Alabama? Alabama beat them.
No, you can't.
That's where I'm at. Same with Penn State. If Penn State, well, now Penn State is a little different because they did lose to Ohio State, who's number 1. So you're not going to move them in front of them. But Penn State, I guess, is a little different. I guess I don't know. Okay, you said something about personal rankings. I'll go over mine real quick. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, Penn State, Louisville, Oregon State, Tennessee, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma is my top 15.
Okay. My top 4 is Georgia, Washington, Ohio State, Florida State. I decided with the cheating thing that I'm going to move Michigan down for now, but that's just me. I've got Michigan at 5. Then I go Oregon, Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, Penn State. Then Louisville, Oregon State, Utah, Tennessee, Oklahoma State is my top 15.
And then I kept Utah at 16. JMU is still in my rankings at 17. I understand that they're not going to come into these college football playoff rankings because they're not eligible.
They're appealing.
They are appealing, though. Yeah, I was going to get to that here in a little bit. Missouri is at 18 for me. Kansas 19, 20 LSU, 21 Tulane, 22 Notre Dame. And then, I think I might have mentioned this, I have 3 new ranked teams, and those are Fresno State at 23, West Virginia at 24, and UNC at 25.
Okay. So 16, I've got Oklahoma, 17 JMU, 18 Missouri, 19 Kansas, 20 LSU, 21 Notre Dame, 22 Arizona enters my rankings, 23 Tulane, and then 24 and 25 also 2 new teams. I have North Carolina and Fresno State.
Sure. All right, cool. Let's talk about the Heisman real quick, just because that's usually what we do after we talk about the rankings. I do have a top 5 this week instead of Michael Penix Jr. 1 and then just a bunch of random collection of names. I do still have Michael Penix Jr. at number 1. I have Ollie Gordon at number 2. Then I have JJ McCarthy at 3. I have Carson Beck at number 4. And I have Bo Nix at number 5. And then there's still like some guys on the cusp out there. Jaden Daniels is still on there for me. I know in the grand scheme of things, he's not going to have a fighting chance because they've lost 3 games now. But, I mean, he legitimately does everything for them. Jalen Milroe is right there for me, too.
He's creeping up.
And then Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. We have the same top 5, just in different orders. I've got Bo Nix 3, JJ 4, Carson Beck 5. But I think we should both, even though Michael Penix Jr. is the heavy favorite, and we both acknowledge that, I think that we should start pushing our Ollie Gordon for Heisman agenda just for the fun of it.
For how much I would love to right now, I can't. I can't start pushing Heisman agendas again this year and be wrong with non-quarterbacks. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's talk about this week. Oh, we got a little action started already. Um, no, not again. All right, cool. Nothing really going on during the week this week. Wyoming UNLV is during the week. I was thinking that was Saturday, but it's Friday. So that's the first game I actually wrote down to pick. 6-3 Wyoming at 7-2 UNLV. UNLV is favored by 6.
These are two very good teams in the Mountain West. Both of these schools still alive to get to that Mountain West title game. This game's actually going to be huge to determine who gets there. This game is in Las Vegas for UNLV. Because of that, I'm going to take UNLV to win this game, but I'm actually going to take Wyoming to cover.
Interesting. Um, I just think UNLV is the better team here. I think -6. I think they win by like a touchdown, in my opinion. I'm going to take UNLV to win. I'm going to take UNLV to cover also.
Okay.
I'm kind of not sure on the ranking standings there, but probably secure their spot in the Mountain West Conference Championship. At like we said, goes to Georgia State. Georgia Tech does play at Clemson.
Not picking your boys?
No. All right. 12 o'clock. Starting it out. Michigan, Penn State. One of the two big ones. First picks of the day. Well, besides Wyoming UNLV. What do you have in Michigan at Penn State? Michigan -4.5.
I I can't stand Penn State for them making me look stupid against Ohio State. Um, Michigan's a really, really good team. I mean, they've blown everybody out that they've played. Blake Corum has 16 touchdowns this year. I mean, Michigan, you could make an argument they're the best team in the country. But with that being said, I'm gonna pick Penn State to win. And I know fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. But I think all of this Michigan scandal stuff combined with them playing in Beaver Stadium, which is one of the best atmospheres in the country, I think Penn State's going to get it done.
Yeah, for sure. For how much I hate to say this, I thought about it too much last time, and I went with Penn State to get the upset over Ohio State. But this time, I didn't think about it at all. Give me the knitting lines over the Wolverines. I think the atmosphere is going to be too much for Michigan. Not I'm gonna say not. I'm not gonna say too much. Like they're gonna go in there and get blown out. But I do have Penn State winning this football game this week.
I will put this on record right now. If Penn State gets blown out in this game, I am not picking them to win a big game until they do it.
Yeah, facts. Alabama also at 12 o'clock. Alabama at Kentucky. Alabama -10.5.
Alabama struggled on the road these past couple years. Lexington, Kentucky's not a crazy environment, but it's a road environment nonetheless. The fans will show up, show out. Um, Give me Bama to win and cover. Maybe it's close in the first half, but I see Bama winning by 13 to 20 points.
Yeah, I was big on that train, but I just switched up last minute. I am also taking Bama to win. I'm gonna take Kentucky to cover though.
Okay.
I see Bama winning by 10 points exactly, and cover Kentucky covering that by half a point. Then we're just gonna skip over 12 o'clock here for a little while. We're gonna go straight to 3:30, which is a big time. I think probably the biggest time frame of this week. Well, we get started out here with Miami at Florida State. Florida State is -14.5 at home against an in-state rival, the Hurricanes. Miami's been kind of slipping there a little bit. They beat Clemson and then in overtime, and then they go out. They lose to Georgia Tech. No, wait, my bad. They lost to Georgia Tech before. Then they beat Clemson. Then they went to overtime with Virginia. And then they got kind of dominated by NC State this past week. So with that being said, I am going to take FSU to win. And I think I'm going to take FSU to cover like a 17 to 20 point win.
I just refuse to think that Miami's a bad team. I think that they are a couple of mistakes away from being 8-1. I mean, who are their losses to? NC State,
NC State,
Georgia Tech,
Georgia Tech, and I think it was somebody
UNC.
early.
It was UNC.
Yes, it was 41-31 at UNC. All on the road, if I'm correct.
No, Georgia Tech was at
Was
home.
at home. Okay.
I actually think Virginia was too.
Virginia was at home. They didn't lose then, but yeah.
Um, I'm gonna take Miami to cover and Florida State to win. I
Okay.
think after last year, Florida State blowing Miami out, I think they come out with a little bit of a vengeance. And it'll be a competitive game.
Yeah, and even though I took FSU to win and cover, I wouldn't be shocked if this is an upset this week.
I wouldn't either.
Continuing on at 3:30 is the Utes coming off of a big win against Arizona State, like we discussed earlier, at Washington, looking to shut down Michael Penix Jr. and that high-powered offense of the Huskies. Washington is at home -9.5.
Look, Utah, I love Utah. And they looked really good last week. But the thing with Utah is their offense is not great. I know it looked great last week, and I know that they destroyed an Arizona State team that Washington struggled with. But I just don't think that Utah's got the horses to keep up with this Washington offense, especially not at home. I think Washington fans will show out. And I like Washington to win and cover.
I'm on the same page with you on that one. You said everything that I was going to say. I don't think Utah can put up the points. Yeah. And then continuing on at 3:30, the last one of this time frame is now, as you can see, they're updated here, 13 versus 14. Volunteers at the Tigers, Tennessee at Missouri. Tennessee currently favored -1.
I like Missouri to win this game. It's basically a pick 'em. I think Missouri's a really good team. They really played well against Georgia this past week in a loss. I think they're too good of a team to lose 2 in a row. And Tennessee hasn't been a great road team this year. And I think Missouri's going to catch them.
Yeah. This is a tough one for me to pick, and I'm picking solely based off of my dreams, my hope and dreams here. I'm gonna take Tennessee to win this game on the road. Even though, like you said, they haven't been a good road team, Missouri's crowd's gonna be up, and I do think there's a chance that Tennessee is gonna overlook Missouri a little bit in spite of playing Georgia next week at home in a really, really big game, especially if they win this one. But I am going to take Tennessee to win and cover for my hopes and dreams because I want that Tennessee-Georgia game to be as high as stakes as possible. To the wait. No, I didn't write that one down. Sorry.
What?
I thought I wrote this one down.
Iowa Rutgers. Look at the over-under.
28.5, man.
I'll take the under.
I'll take the under too. Yeah. Then we're gonna go over here to 7 o'clock. We're not gonna pick this game. No, I'm just kidding. Jacob. We're gonna break our little streak of watching college football all day on Saturday together for what this past week was our 4th or 5th week in a row.
Yep.
I'll
be tuned into college football all day just because for those of you who don't know, I'll be at this game.
Yep, that's what I was getting to on that one. Very hyped up for it being a night game.
Oh yeah, being a night game, it makes it a much longer day. Yeah. But I'm excited, really excited.
Ole Miss now in the top 10, number 10 at number 2.
Now.
Huh?
Number 9 now. I don't know why it hadn't updated yet.
That is weird that update the other ones. I don't know why I'm tripping. Because it had updated Penn State too, didn't it? Oh, sorry, guys.
Or maybe it's just using, no, it wouldn't be using the AP rank. I don't know what it is.
That's so weird. Maybe they just haven't got to it yet. Yeah, because they still got Oklahoma ranked ninth. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Georgia minus 10.5. I think I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, I just don't think that Ole Miss has the defense to slow Carson Beck down. They dial up a lot of blitzes, but one of Georgia's strengths on offense is that screen game, getting it out to those speedy receivers. Um, and not only that, the way that Georgia played against Luther Burden, he hit one big shot last week, but he had 3 catches for 50 something yards. I think we'll do the same thing to scheme up Trey Harris. He'll make plays. I just think 10.5 is a little low. So I'm going to take Georgia to win and cover, just like I've done for every other pick for Georgia this year.
Yeah, for sure. I can't say the same. I think multiple times that we've been picking Georgia, the spreads have just seemed a little bit too high for me, and I've went with the other team to cover. But for how much I like Ole Miss's offense and how much I think Ole Miss's offense can keep up with Georgia, they rely a lot on Quinshon Judkins, and you don't run the ball in Georgia. Well, Schrader did last week, but you usually don't run the ball in Georgia. Again, I don't think, like what you said, I don't know if Ole Miss has the defense to slow Georgia's offense down. And I just don't think Ole Miss will be able to keep up with it. Give me Georgia to win and give me Georgia to cover 10.5 this week. I've got like 38-24, 38-21, something like that.
Yeah, but I'm too. I think they're going to put up some points, but nothing crazy.
For sure. Then West Virginia at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is minus 12.5. West Virginia still alive in the Big 12. Quietly still alive in the Big 12.
To all my Sooner fans out there, I'm sorry. I've picked y'all to lose 2 weeks in a row, and you've lost 2 weeks in a row.
No. You're good.
But good news, your losing streak will end this week. I've got the Sooners to win and the Sooners to cover.
My Oklahoma train is dead. It's been derailed. It's done. But I am going to take OU to win this week. I'm going to take West Virginia to cover, though.
It could go either way. I mean, West Virginia could win this game.
Yeah, 12.5 is a lot, though, for me. I don't think they'll win this game. Well, let me not say that. Just going to come back to my me. We'll get here in a minute. 31.5. Some other big games at 7:30 that we're not going to pick. Texas at TCU, Florida at LSU, Mississippi at Texas A&M, JT Daniels at UTSA. But then last two we're getting to here, Duke at North Carolina. Now, if Riley Leonard was still in the lineup for Duke, which I am assuming he's not going to play this week. He did have a boot on his foot. I think I said that earlier. I'm assuming he's not going to play this week. That's why UNC is favored by minus 14. This would be a much bigger game, especially with North Carolina being ranked now. But a little bit less higher stakes, I think, here. UNC minus 14, but still want to pick it. Rivalry, biggest rivalry in college basketball between these two teams. So still a decent rivalry in football, though. 30 minutes apart from each other max. Duke at North Carolina, UNC minus 14. Give me the Heels to win. Give me the Heels to cover.
Yeah, I was going the same direction with that. I think UNC is a much better team than Duke without Riley Leonard, as much as it hurts me to say, because I was really pushing a Duke agenda early in the year. But give me the Heels.
I just want to say something real quick. This has nothing to do with the pick'ems, but they just popped up Michigan's final 3 games at Penn State, at Maryland, and then against Ohio State. That's some pretty big games there to end the year for Michigan. They can really make a statement with those, I think. And then last but not least, at 10:30, which unfortunately I'm gonna have to stay up late Saturday night. Southern Cal unranked now. At number 6, Oregon. Oregon minus 16.5. What do you got?
USC, everybody's counted them out. Yeah, all of this stuff. It would be very college football for USC to come out, especially after the firing of their defensive coordinator, and win this game. And I'm very tempted to pick it, but I'm not going to. Give me Oregon to win in a very close game. USC covers.
I like what you just. I'm kind of mad that I didn't go first there because what you just said is exactly what I was going to say. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they come out and win this football game. However, I confidently cannot enough come out here and say that they are. So with that being said, I'm going the same thing. I'm taking Oregon to win. I'm taking Southern Cal to cover, though. 16.5 is a lot of points, no matter how bad their defense is. But yeah, that's all we got for Pick'ems this week. Quick update. Last week, scores: Jacob 7.5 points, Cam 9. So Jacob's winning streak and Pick'ems comes to an end. I am now 5-2. Jacob's 2-5. But again, the points are really, really close. I'm at 53.5. Jacob at 47. Oh, and I forgot to talk about when we got to these games real quick. It's just some implications. Ole Miss Georgia implications, right? Ole Miss needs to win to stay alive for the SEC championship hopes. And Georgia with the win locks up the SEC championship appearance. Tennessee needs to win to stay alive, but they also need Ole Miss to beat Georgia. Penn State needs to win to keep alive in the Big Ten championship hopes. But Michigan with a win in that game does set up the game with Ohio State. It pretty much would be winner goes to the Big Ten championship and winner goes to the playoffs. Bama with the win locks up their spot in SEC championship. So not only does Ole Miss need to win, they also need Alabama to lose. And then West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Duke, UNC, both losers are essentially eliminated from the Big 12 race and the ACC race. So, yeah, some implications there. All right, now I said something about it. Let's go back over here to it. Ohio State at home against Michigan State. They are the biggest spread of the week, minus 31.5 last week. Like I said, Tennessee was minus 36 for UConn. They covered. I am now at 4.5 out of 6. Jacob at 5 out of 6. Jacob, what are you going to go with 31.5 here?
I feel like we got to keep the train going. Ohio State haters stand up. Give me Michigan State to cover.
Yeah, Michigan State, big win last week over Nebraska, I guess, technically big win for them. They've been down in the dumps all year. On the road in Columbus, really tough environment. I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can do it. Give me Ohio State to cover 31.5.
Give me Michigan State to win. Nah.
That could give you a big jump out though. If you're correct, you would be 2.5 points ahead of me. So wait, no.
1.5
ahead of me. So technically 2 wins ahead of me. Super Dogs. Jacob, I've got mine. Do you have yours yet?
I do have mine.
All right. I know what you're doing, but I know the idea of what you're doing here, but I don't know who it is. So enlighten me.
So the last 2 weeks, I've picked teams that I thought should not have been favored, and it's hit 2 weeks in a row. So the game I'm going with this week is Boston College versus Virginia Tech. Boston College is at home against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a 1-point favorite. Boston College is 6-3. Virginia Tech is 4-5. I think Boston College is a better team, and I think them being at home will be the difference. I think Boston College beats Virginia Tech.
+1 is I get the idea here. I see the vision, but +1 is insane. +1 you're essentially just picking Boston College to beat Virginia Tech right now.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
We both are 5 and 6, 5 for 6 here in Super Dogs. I'm going with an interesting one this week. I'm going to the Sun Belt, actually. The Red Wolves at Arkansas State visit South Alabama. They have a better record. I did look at the schedules, though. The schedules are a little lopsided. But South Alabama is minus 11.5. And I think in the Sun Belt, with these two teams, I just think that's a lot for me. So my super dog this week is Arkansas State plus 11.5 at South Alabama. I had a lot of options though. I almost just for funsies here. I almost went Florida International for some reason. And then last but not least, hot takes. Super dogs last week, by the way. I had USF plus 13.5 at Memphis, which did hit. Jacob had Georgia Tech plus 2 versus Virginia, which did hit. Hot takes last week. I had a Talia hot take, yardage wise and touchdown wise he hit, yardage wise he didn't, and upset didn't hit, so no points there for me. And Jacob had a Jaden Daniels, same thing, like yards, touchdowns, upset, none of that hit, so no points for us. I'm still up by half a point on Jacob in hot takes. Jacob, do you got your hot take for the week?
Yeah, and it's gonna be kind of subjective, but I'm just gonna double down on my idiocy and say that Drew Aller has the best game of his career in a Penn State upset.
All right. I don't really know what's going to define best game of career, but we'll figure that out later.
Okay, you want me to put numbers on it?
I feel like that would be easier for us to calculate here because technically a best game of his career could be against somebody like, I don't know, like North Dakota State or something like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know how to define it.
We'll figure it out later. We'll figure that part out later.
They're probably not going to win anyways.
Yeah. My hot take, I've done stats, I think, like the past like 18 weeks. No, I haven't. But I usually rotate between stats and then like something else. So I'm gonna rotate since I did stats. Last week, Bo Nix is on the screen currently. I'm talking to Reese Davis. And because Bo Nix is on the screen, no, because that's the stats. I can't do it. I'm going to go with, this is going to be very weird. It's going to be very, very weird. But I'm going to go with, let me see if this is updated real quick. That
the graphic didn't update, but scroll down and it updated. Right.
No, I'm going to go with, this is going to be very weird because, okay, you've already got, I'm going to go with 5 teams in the college football playoff rankings lose this week.
I like it.
Which is a little.
Well, hold on. Isn't there 5 ranked matchups this week?
There's one.
There's Georgia, Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee, Penn State,
Utah, Washington, Penn State, Michigan.
Washington.
How many is that? 4?
USC's not ranked.
Penn State, Michigan, Missouri, Tennessee, Utah, Washington, Georgia, Ole Miss. Okay, so that's 4 guaranteed. So I feel like I need to up that a little bit.
Do 6 or 7.
I'm gonna go with 6. 6
Okay.
teams. 6 teams in CFP rankings lose.
You could say 2 of the teams in the top 5 are going to lose.
Well, that is no. That is no. Because that would be contradicting my pick'ems, and I care more about my pick'ems than my hot takes right now because the hot takes are supposed to not hit. But yeah, that is all we got, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's all we got. All pick'ems, everything like that. All right, cool. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in this week. And if you're watching after the fact, then we appreciate y'all watching definitely after the fact that the live stream is over. But yeah, we appreciate all the support last week. I think we hit almost 50 viewers last week. So that was really cool. And hopefully we have a good week of college football. And we will see y'all next time. Peace.